Hi, welcome to Webinar Wednesday. I'm Carly Andrews, Outreach Coordinator for the North Dakota Brain Injury Network. We hold these every other Wednesday from 1:30 to 3. Continue to join us next, not next week, but the week after, so November 17th, we're going to have Synopsis with us. It's a program at Iowa State University for students with brain injury, and they do support groups, they do kind of a buddy system on campus, and they bring speakers to campus. So I just kind of wanted them to talk about what they do, and hopefully maybe have a North Dakota university pick up kind of that model that they follow. So that was my intent with that one. And then December 1st, we're going to have Dr. Ella Lisk back. She is she wears many hats, but mainly a chiropractor out of the Fargo area, and you guys all really love her on these Web Wednesdays. So we are having her back again, and then I hope to get some more scheduled throughout December and January. So continue to join us. You will find your CEU request by the end of the workday tomorrow in the same spot where you found login information on the ndbin.org/events/webinars site. But yeah, I think that's about it for housekeeping. So we have Darcy Severson here with us today. She's with Community Options, and they have many locations in North Dakota, and they provide a wide variety of services, and many of those people with brain injuries qualify for. So we wanted her to come and explain kind of what they do, and they've added a lot. So yeah, Darcy, take it away. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for letting me come share all our crazy expansions we've done lately. We're kind of in a whirlwind at Community Options. First of all, I'll go through kind of the services that we had prior to our big change here, just to make you guys aware of the different services that we have and have had for a period of time. To begin with, one of the very first contracts that our side of the company got was the Jobs TANF program. I don't know if you guys are aware of what that is. It is anybody that is receiving a TANF check. So any single parent that has a child that fits into the low income category can get a TANF check. One thing that I'd like to educate people about is there's a lot of misconception out there that people can get on TANF and live on TANF their whole life. That is not factual. They only are able to collect TANF for 60 months, which is equivalent to 5 years. But in order to, they always get their check portion for their children. But in order to get that additional portion for the adult in the house, they have to have certain requirements that they meet. And depending on the age of the child, it might be either they have to volunteer, do some educational things, or employment. And depending on the age, it's anywhere from 80 hours a month to 160 hours. The goal of that TANF contract is to get people self-sufficient, so they don't need that TANF check anymore. The sister program to that, kind of a preventative program, is we offer Crossroads. And Crossroads is for young parents. So if you have parents at any minimum age up to the age of 21 that has a child, we can work with one parent or both parents of that child. And the idea of that program is to keep them in the education system, to make sure they follow high school, get their GED, whatever that looks like for them, but then also to possibly go on to a college or a certificate. You know, both those programs are hopefully making people more self-sufficient so they don't need those public assistance programs, and to help them move out of poverty. So we have had those programs for a lot of years across the state. The only places that we don't cover across the state is Cass County. Job Service holds that contract in Cass County. And we also don't cover the Turtle Mountain area. But other than that, we cover the whole state. And going backwards a little, I should have probably told you guys where we're located in the state. We have offices in all the bigger cities in the state. So we have an office in Jamestown, Fargo, Grand Forks, Devils Lake, Minot, Williston, Dickinson, and Bismarck. We also have a satellite office in Fort Yates on the reservation, but we also outreach every corner of the state. Even though that's where our offices are, we cover the whole state. So we are able to go out to the smaller communities and work with people right in their community. So they don't have to come to us. So going back to the programs, I explained to you about our TANF program, about our Crossroads program. The other program we have specifically for people that have acquired a brain injury is our brain injury contract. That contract specifically is put there to help people that have suffered a brain injury, and our definition of brain injury in our contract, basically we can help anybody that has had a concussion, has had any kind of brain injury. So ours is very easy to get into if you have suffered anything as minor as a concussion to a traumatic brain injury. And it can be either acquired or from birth. Ours is very easy. We're able to assign somebody to them to help them get back in the work field or to improve in the work field. Maybe you want to do a career advancement. We are able to hire a staff or have a staff work with you that just looks at your goals and what you want to do in the community and where you'd like to work, or if you'd like to advance your career. That one, we do not need medical documentation of the brain injury. People are able to just come to us and self-refer. We do a very quick, easy brain injury eligibility form, and we're able to start working with them as soon as that form's filled out. That is more just an employment-driven program. We don't, with that contract, we're not able to help with the whole life, the wraparound service, just the employment portion of it. Going on, we also work with a category of dual diagnosed individuals, and that are contracted from the Human Service Center at this time. That's more of a team approach. So they have a full team at the Human Service Center, and Community Options is contracted to do the employment portion of that wraparound team. We have that with both Human Service Centers. We are part of that integrated team. We go to the team meetings, and the philosophy we use the IPS model, which is independent employment supports. And what that means is we meet people where they're at. It's zero exclusion. Nobody is excluded. If they want to go to work, we don't feel that they should have to work through their barriers before they go to work. If they want to go to work, we help them get to work as soon as possible. That whole philosophy is the philosophy that we use throughout all our services at Community Options, person-centered, but also work is part of recovery. No matter what you're recovering from mental health, addiction, potentially a traumatic brain injury, whatever it is, people should be able to have the right to go to work at any point they want. They should not have to work through a bunch of barriers before they're eligible to go to work. So that's our general philosophy throughout all our programs that we run. From there, we also have some contracted services through the behavioral health program. One is called Free Through Recovery. Free Through Recovery is a program that for somebody that's justice involved, they're either on probation or parole, and they get referred to us through their probation officer. Every program that we run at Community Options, with the exception of the TANF program, are all volunteer programs. Nobody is forced to come get services from us. Everything is voluntary. So it's just a matter of the person wanting the supports and wanting the help. The Free Through Recovery is more kind of a case management role that we're looking at the whole person. We're helping them integrate back into the community and hopefully be more successful and improving their life and being more successful in their life. So the things that we look at with Free Through Recovery are housing, which is a huge barrier for a lot of people that have been justice involved. We look at employment, we look at law involvement, helping them build supports so they don't get re-incarcerated, and then also recovery. And as I said before, recovery can be from mental health, it could be from an addiction, it could be from whatever they're recovering from. The sister program to that, which I've been really super excited about, is the behavioral health unit rolled it out probably about 6 months ago. And it's called Community Connect. And we are a Community Connect provider as well. But what I have been so excited about Community Connect about is it's more of a preventative program. Let's catch people when they have a few barriers and few struggles before they get to where they're possibly justice involved. That program focuses on, maybe somebody has had a DUI and is struggling with some addiction, but really haven't moved into that really justice involved programming. So let's catch them here and let's put some supports in place and help them go on a better track. That program can take in anybody that has a brain injury and do those wraparound services for them. Be able to do more than just that employment portion. Help them with some housing things, help them whatever they set as their goals. We can work with them to help them with reach those goals. It might be parents that have, or a parent that is at risk of losing their children to the foster system. Let's get some supports in there and help that family become better so that they don't lose their children to the system. Or maybe their kids have already been taken away and put in foster care. How can we build those supports and help them become a stronger parent so they can get their children back? So what's been really cool about that program is we can pull in people that have suffered from a brain injury, from mental health, from addiction, maybe had some justice involvement, maybe it's parental problems. So it's a really catch-all program that's been really cool because anybody that walks in our door, we're able to possibly fit them into that program and get the supports they need. That one grew overnight. That one grew huge, as you can imagine. A lot of people in North Dakota have really found out about the program and are really drawing to that program to get supports that they need. The other contracted services we have are, we work for the state have a contract for assisting people to fill out the LIHEAP application. So that means if somebody wants to apply for fueling assistance, that application's long, you need a lot of information. We're able to, if somebody calls us, we're able to go right to their home, assist them to fill out that application, help them gather all that paperwork that's needed, and help them get it to the county so that they can run and see if they're being approved for it. So we can be that person that really helps them through that whole process. We don't want people to struggle or go without heat just because of that application process. So we want to make sure that we're there to assist them through that whole process. One of the other programs that we just started in the last year is our SNAP program. And what that is anybody that's receiving a SNAP benefit, food stamps, if anybody's not familiar with the term SNAP, can be referred to us by the county to work with them on career advancement and employment goals. So on that one, all it takes to qualify for that is to be receiving a SNAP benefit. We went through a transition a while ago. Oh, sorry, I forgot one more. We are a ticket to work agency. And that is anybody that's on a Social Security benefit, SSI or SSDI, that might want to work themselves off benefits. We know that Social Security benefit is not always a lot of money for people to live on. There's also a lot of fear from people that the minute they start working, they'll lose their benefits. And I know just from my own personal experience in helping people, getting on Social Security disability is sometimes a very long path and very disappointing because it gets denied, you got to appeal, it gets denied, you get to appeal. So I know that process is very long, very discouraging. So when somebody finally gets accepted for Social Security disability, they definitely have the fear of, I don't want to lose that and have to go through that again if I can't do this. But there are tons of safety nets put in place that you can try to go back to work. And you have your 9-month trial work period where you can, if you haven't worked since you were put on disability, you got 9 months that you can try it, and it does not affect your Social Security, the money portion at all. But then there's other safety nets that are in place. And the common person that's on Social Security disability is not going to know all those safety nets that Social Security have out there. So we do have a benefit planner and a CWIC. That's the title that is received from Social Security when you go through the whole intensive training. We have one on staff that can look at people's benefits, can tell them how it might affect their benefits as a whole, but also can work through if somebody wants to not just live on their Social Security disability or their SSI and really try to go back to work. She can make sure that all those safety nets are in place. A prime example is, I know of a story that she was working with somebody when COVID hit. And all of a sudden, even though they were doing well of trying to work towards working themselves off benefits and having more money in their pocket, COVID hit, and she was able to get those benefits reinstated immediately. I don't know if the typical person that doesn't know all those rules and regulations of Social Security would have known that they could jump back on benefits without having that ticket assigned. So she's a great addition to our team, meets with people all the time to go through that, even when they're thinking about going to work. We usually get them with our benefits planner so she can really go through in-depthly how it's going to affect their housing, how it's going to affect their SNAP, how it's going to affect their disability check, and it really makes people feel more secure about taking that chance of returning to work. So about 4 months ago, we started to go through a transition at Community Options. I don't know how many of you are aware on this call, but through the last couple sessions, they've really worked hard to build a support system and services around people with a variety of different diagnoses, people that might have a brain injury, mental health, might have addiction. I mean, the list of diagnoses that qualify you is quite lengthy. As you might be familiar, the state of North Dakota for years has had kind of that wraparound services for a person that has a developmental disability diagnosis. Have not really had those services available in the state for people with other kind of disabilities. So the last couple sessions, they've been really working on what is called the 1915I waiver. And that was supposed to be rolled out over a year ago, and then COVID hit and kind of pushed dates back. But really started coming to the forefront around January, February of this last year, where we were actually getting to the point that it was getting ready to be rolled out in the state. With 1915I, you go to the county, if you have the correct HUDA score, which is just an evaluation they do of your needs. You can get a case manager. They call it a care coordinator, but it's a case manager role. And you can get a lot of wraparound services, which is exciting for us because those services have never been available for people that might have a severe mental health diagnosis or a traumatic brain injury and need those supports. They really haven't had a lot of those supports in the community. So these are wraparound services for people. So North Dakota is changing and changing for the good right now. At about that same time, through the last couple sessions, up until that point, people with a mental illness diagnosis were only allowed to get targeted case management from the human service centers. The human service centers came to the session and said, we can't handle this big influx of people. So they were able to open that up to private providers to help with the influx of people. And the human service centers have restructured. They're not able to take people that might have what they classify as a mild or moderate mental health issue. Instead, they are there now to work with people that have the most severe diagnosis and barriers. So they needed agencies to step up and become targeted case management for more of those people that are classified in that moderate or mild. So that is about the time we started to do a shift. For one thing, our agency used to be, our side of the company used to be called Community Options Employment. We decided that we were doing way more than employment by this point. So we rebranded ourselves as Community Options Behavioral Health. So that is something that you might see a change when you are on our website or looking around and seeing our name up there. We used to be Community Options, and we had the developmental disability side and the employment side. So us on the employment side rebranded to the behavioral health. We also, at that time, broke our services apart. So now we have two pillars under the behavioral health umbrella. One pillar is all Medicaid services. Anybody that's worked with Medicaid knows that Medicaid's kind of a beast in itself, and you really got to understand every do's and don'ts of Medicaid. So our idea is let's have a whole pillar department that works just on that, so they fully understand Medicaid and how they can utilize those services for people. Under that umbrella, we became a 1915I provider. those services that I just explained to you that are the wraparound services. We also became a targeted case management agency for people with mental health. We also put in, the state had a grant that came out not too long ago, and we were accepted. They're called housing application counselors. We are helping people fill out applications for the COVID dollars for rent assistance. It used to be called, I'm drawing a blank what it was called, but now they opened it up for agencies and it's called ND rent assistance now. And it's part of our COVID care dollars that we want to get those dollars out to people that have struggled through COVID, may not have been able to pay their rent or their utilities are behind. Same concept of the LIHEAP, the heating system that I was telling you about. We just help them through that application process. We're able to help them through, gather all the information they need, help them get it submitted through the portal to see if they qualify for it. So that also is under the Medicaid side, our pillar. And then all the other programs that I explained up to the 1959, the targeted case management and the rental assistant is called contracted services. And those are all the other contracts that I explained to you guys. So we are doing a shift. We've had to add quite a few additional staff across the state. We have brought in quite a few additional clients across the state. We're always looking for licensed social workers. So if you know any, send them our way. We're always looking for good people because we want to be able to fill the need as much as we can. But that's kind of in a nutshell, a very quick overview of everything we do at Community Options. So any questions on any of them?
Can you talk to us about what the referral process, or how would someone, do they just walk into an office, or what's your, depends, right, on which?
We actually right now, you can call our number and we have trained people that are taking your information down. They are, we're in the process of hiring a referral coordinator. But as of right now, we have a couple other people that are doing it where we have this referral sheet that they go through, kind of what are your needs? We go through, you know, do you have a mental health issue? Because we don't expect people to come in our door and say, hey, I want to be in this program. We got too many. We want to just gather information for people to be able to really kind of know what program might qualify before we call them back and really talk to them in depthly about it. And, you know, and then each program has a different, because we have so many different contracts, there's many different ways to get people in the program. But if people just call us, walk through that referral form, we call them back and we already kind of have an idea of what program they would work best with, what they would get the most benefit from. Then we help them apply for what, you know, if it's an outside application, whatever it may be, we assist them to get that filled out.
Great, thank you for explaining that. We got a question. What is the role of the mental health targeted case manager?
You know, that's something new to us. We're learning as we go because we've been a very hands-on agency. Very, very much hands-on. It's been a little bit of a transition for us because Medicaid really dictates what you can and can't do as a targeted case manager. So that has been a whole different transition. We're just so used to having people walk in our door, tell us what they need, and we just help them with whatever. whatever they need. A targeted case manager has just certain buckets, they call them, that they can work under. They can do evaluations. They can do assessments. They can do referrals. And they help write the plan, basically. And then they can do some collateral contacts. So if they need to call a psychiatrist or maybe a doctor or whoever it may be. But it was quite the transition for us that are so used to being hands-on that as a TCM, a targeted case manager, you don't really do those hands-on things. You evaluate, you assess, you find out where the need is, and then you refer to somebody else. So it is kind of a different role than we're used to. They're kind of more that gatekeeper of services. They are there to find out what they need, but then to really get you attached to those services. Does that make sense to you, or would you want more description?
She said thank you, so I think that was good. Good.
Okay.
That helped me understand it too.
I've got some
else?
questions just to clarify. Again, I'm one of those guys who always ask questions, and
Oh,
maybe
that's fine.
maybe I just wasn't paying as close attention as I should. But with community options, you said you're basically trying to help individuals get employment. So one of my questions would be, do you actually contact employers, since hopefully if a person comes into community options, you should know some of the skills that they already have. Now, do you actually contact employer and say, hey, I think you might be able to use this person?
It generally, yes,
Okay.
but it's totally up to the person. We really let the person drive the services.
Okay.
So if the person doesn't want us contacting an employer, we're not going to. If we go through that in our intake, what role do you want us to play? Some people are like, you know what, I just want to work with you offsite. Some people are like, nope, I want you to reach out to employers. Some people are like, hey, I need help on the job, learning the job. It's really geared towards what the person needs and wants. My staff are required, the employment specialists are required to do 6 job developments a week. That is a requirement. And what that means is going out to businesses, getting behind the scenes, talking to those hiring managers, talking to those supervisors, really getting to know about that business. I think that approach helps both sides. It helps the businesses, so we're not sending them somebody that might not work in their business, but it also helps the person that we're able to share with them. I'm a strong believer that atmosphere sometimes is more important than the work itself. The atmosphere has to be something that you're comfortable with. If you are somebody that likes to kid around and joke and have a good time, and you're not going to be very happy if we put you in a very stuffy, very business-like, never have conversations, never talk. So that's part of my staff's assignment when they go out and do job developments. Really notice things about that business. What's that atmosphere like? Are there like really strong smells? What's the lighting like? Is it cold in this business? Is it warm? Because these are all things that could possibly make or break somebody's employment. So all those things are important, so that when we are talking to whoever walks in our door, we're going to talk to them about those things. How do you feel about working in a colder atmosphere? How do you feel? All those things are important to lead towards a more successful employment site for somebody.
And I'm not done yet.
That's okay. Keep on coming.
Again, do you provide training to the would-be employer as to how he can communicate with that individual, because if they can't communicate worth a darn, they're not going, either one of them is going to be satisfied. Again, do you actually provide skills to the employer and based on, and again, it's going to end up being pretty close to the type of injury and the type of skills that the employees got, but how do you facilitate so that the training can be provided and actually, most importantly, the communication between both of them is actually worth a darn.
You know, and again, that's completely person-centered on what the person getting services from us. We're going to talk about those things. What do you want us to talk to the employer? What part, even after you get the job, we need to make sure that the person walking through the door that's getting services from us is okay with what we're doing. And then so for example, if you came to work with us and you said, hey, I want you to help me with the communication with my employer, then we do it. We develop a plan with you, we do it. It's all going to be, and we ask those questions when somebody gets a job too. How you're feeling about talking with your boss. Is that going to be a struggle? How do you communicate with your coworkers? You know, where do you want us to support you? So we don't expect everybody that walks in our door to know those things. So we really have tried to tune into asking those questions when they get a job, because they might not even think about it, you know? So we really try to dive deeper on what do you think you're going to need assistance with?
And again, the thing with the communication, it's probably one of the most important things between an employee and an employer.
Mhm.
And again, TBI folks aren't usually as cognitive of how an employer might present something. And, you know, they've kind of got to work on it. The other thing is, or my last question is, do you actually provide training for specific type jobs, or do you let the trainer do that or the employer do that? And if the jobs require a specific type skill, are you able to maybe provide schooling? And again, it probably end up having to be free of cost, because most TBI folks aren't exactly billionaires. So, anyways, do you provide anything like that?
You know, one of the things is some of our programs that we contract for have what are called supportive service dollars that come with. So we're able to, you know, if somebody wants to go for some kind of certificate or we're able to tap into those supportive service dollars to assist. Otherwise, we have become very creative at finding funding for people that want to go through those programs. There are so many resources out there that if we really start digging, we find those resources for people that really want to go on. You know, and as far as on the job, it depends. Like if we can go on site with somebody to help them learn that and kind of look at, you know, is there adaptive equipment that'll help them? Is it a matter of the staff just writing down steps? You know, what's going to help? We could do that evaluation on site on the job to help the person while they're being trained by the employer. But there are lots of times that maybe somebody is struggling. Say, you know, one of the ones that come to my mind just recently is somebody applying for a job and wanting to do some advancement in their job, and they weren't sure about the money exchange part. Kind of really nervous about that. So we've been doing some of that offsite with them. practicing that skill
Mm.
to kind of build some confidence in that and really kind of evaluate what works, what doesn't. So some of those things we can train offsite too. It depends what it is, if we can. If we can make it happen, we do. I had somebody one time that was nervous about running a cash register. And I managed to reach out to a business and say, hey, do you have an old one? Because some of them have training cash registers. They let us come into this business and just practice. It wasn't even for a job in that business. I just, from my past experience, knew they had that cash register that they do their training programs on. They let us come in and work on it a couple hours just to get the person more comfortable, So sometimes it's a matter of just being creative and finding the resources out there.
Just to kind of give you an idea about the money stuff. I actually used to at one time have a part-time job where I handled money, back and forth, and it was a restaurant business. And anyways, since my accident, I'd rather somebody else handle the money, because if it's not my money, I don't want to be, do something wrong. So again, that's part of how I've changed.
Well, and the other thing that we can always do, if we have permission of the person we're working with, we can always go talk to that employer. Like, maybe you can and want to do the rest of the job besides that money portion. Can we do a task swap? Is there something else that we can put in place of that money portion that you feel confident to do and are okay doing, and just swap that task? We've had businesses willing to do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, it's hard to go in and advocate for yourself to get some of those things done. So it's nice to have some support when and also, another reason that we do all the job developments, and we call them job developments, but they're really informational interviews of the businesses. Yeah. Because we want to really see behind the scenes what the businesses look like, what it takes to do the different tasks and that, so we can bring them back to people and say, and then we take the person over there to observe it and see if it's something they're interested in. But why waste your time if it's something that isn't going to suit what you're looking for? We would rather take our time to do that. But the other thing that's really cool about it is we start building big network of relationships by doing that. So when you walk in your door, we already have this big network of relationships with businesses. And like it or not, we live in North Dakota, so it sometimes really ties to who you know, more than who's the best candidate for the position or whatever it may be. A lot of times it really ties to who you know. So that is my other focus, by really getting my staff out there to build those networks so we can tap into that network for people that come in our door.
Again, you may kind of answered this. You do say you try and talk to the employer, trying to get him into the mindset of having to deal with the person that he's going to try to employ. Again, the skill portion, again, do you provide schooling for certain set skills that aren't going to cost that TBI person an arm and a leg to get?
We ourselves don't provide the school, but we'll assist you to find those resources for the schooling. We just found out not too long ago, digging through resources, that there is a college up in the Devil's Lake area that was having free admission for different courses. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding them.
Okay.
So,
all right, I'm done.
Well, I think that's what's nice about being a statewide agency, because you know, we have people in every direction finding out what those resources are. That if we were just in one region, we might not know. I mean, that free schooling right now is online, so you could take it from wherever. We probably wouldn't know that if we weren't a statewide agency, or we'd probably find out about it way too late. So that's one nice thing about being a statewide agency is we have the eyes and ears and feet to the ground all over North Dakota. So we're able to find out about the different resources that are out there. And we find new ones every day.
Great. Anyone else have any more questions for Darcy?
Awesome questions, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time and not seeing any here. You were so thorough.
If anybody has further questions, I can put my my number in the chat.
Perfect.
If you think of something afterwards, just feel free to give me a call.
Thank you.
Young lady, thank you.
You are welcome.
Mhm.
And if anybody is interested in our rental assistance, definitely give us a call, or needs assistance in filling out for heating assistance,
Okay,
give us a call.
will do. There's her number down there. That's 701-319-0712. If you need to get a hold of Darcy, but. Oh. All right, well, I will let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your days. Nice fall brisk day we have, at least in Grand Forks anyway. Thank you so much, Darcy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.